Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nivashesha Sunyavadi Pashtita Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hari 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 Rama 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 Hari Hari. So today we celebrate the appearance day of Lord Balaram, the glorious appearance day of Lord Balaram, which is a critically important event because without properly understanding the mercy of Lord Balaram and also understanding how to acquire his mercy, it's almost impossible to follow the path of bhakti. Srimad Bhagavatam describes on the fateful evening of the wedding of Vasudeva and Devaki, when Kamsa was driving them back to Vasudev's palace, he heard that resounding, ominous voice. Kamsa, you are a fool. You are taking such nice care of your sister, not knowing that the 8th child of Devaki will be the cause of your death. On hearing that, Kamsa became very, very disturbed, because when we consider our material body to be us, a body which is the fundamental illusion of all bondage and suffering within this material existence, then we're prone to perform even the most atrocious, abominable activities simply to protect our sense gratification. So out of fear, Kamsa grabbed Devaki's hair, and with a sword in his hand, he was about to sever her head from her body. Such is the nature of a person who is too much controlled by their senses. You can never trust them. Even if they appear to be our best well-wishing friend, if we interfere with their sense gratification, then they can turn against us and become our worst enemy. Kamsa had been acting like such a loving brother, and he was such a powerful king, so many servants, so many resources, so many charioteers, etc. But out of love for his sister, he chose to take the position of the chariot driver, the charioteer, which is in essence a very menial service. But to please her, to make her feel comfortable going to a strange place, to her husband's home for the first time, he drove her chariot. So at one moment, he was going out of his way to show love and affection, but as soon as he found out that his sister was a threat to his sense enjoyment, he was ready to cold-heartedly kill her. That is material life. So Shastra says that we can only trust devotees who are in control of their senses by constantly being engaged in the loving service of the Lord. So aside from such devotees, we can never really know who our friends are. Then Vasudeva, he gave so many arguments to try to convince Kamsa, but Kamsa couldn't hear philosophy. Fortunately, he could hear negotiation, and the negotiation was, I will bring all my children to you, so you have nothing to fear from your sister. And Vasudeva, of course, was such a man of honor that he kept his word. We know in Kali Yuga that of the 4 legs of religion, truthfulness is the only one that's really surviving. But even truthfulness, as we know, is dwindling so much. So people turn away from their word so quickly, so whimsically, without even thinking twice. But advanced people, elevated people, when they give their word, they will die before breaking that vow, as there is no more dignity than living a life of virtue. So when the first child was born, Vasudeva brought that child to Kamsa. Here, he is yours. And Kamsa said, you're such an honest person for bringing the child, but I have nothing to fear from this child. It's the 8th child that I'm worried about. But so you can have this child back. But due to Kamsa's narcissistic nature, Vasudeva was thinking, he may be saying nice things now, but what will he do tomorrow? And shortly after that, he did kill that child and imprisoned Vasudeva and Devaki. And then the next children, the next 5 children, so 6 in total, he killed all of them too. Even though he knew the 8th child was a threat, because then Narada had also warned him about the whole pastime, if you like, and the demigods taking birth, etc., etc. He decided he would kill all those children just in case. So Shastra also says that a saintly person can tolerate all difficult conditions of life. A heinous person like Kamsa can commit all sorts of atrocities, but a devotee can sacrifice everything for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then the 7th child came, and this child was a divine incarnation, a direct expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing in the womb of Devaki. And she was so joyous and effulgent because divinity had entered her womb. And Krishna then called on his Yogamaya potency to transfer this beautiful child from Devaki's womb, Balaram, to the womb of Rohini. And Vasudeva had several wives, 2 of them Devaki, Rohini. And when Kamsa was persecuting Vasudeva and Devaki, Vasudeva arranged for Rohini to go to Gokul, where Nanda and Yashoda were happily living under the protection of the Vrajavasis. So he had Rohini to go there. So now the 7th child was transferred from Devaki's womb to Rohini's womb on the full moon night of Shravan. And this beautiful child, Sri Balaram, was born. Then when we talk of Vishnu Tattva, Balaram's presence is crucial. It's described in Shastra, Krishnadas tu Bhagavan Swayam, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, that Krishna is the Adi Purush. But when Krishna wants to enjoy, then he expands to a Vaibhav Prakash, which is essentially the same opulence, everything, same abundance. The only difference really is the color. So he expands like that as Baladev. And Balaram so is really Krishna himself as the original servitor. And Balaram is so unique. For instance, he takes part in all 5 of the primary rasas of Krishna. In Shantaras, he expands himself and creates Goloka Vrindavan, which, as we know, is just a land that is just devoted to the service of Krishna. Everything in that space, if you like, is just for the loving service of Krishna. And in addition, Balaram, he expands himself as Krishna's flute, Krishna's slippers, Krishna's clothes, Krishna's ornaments, etc., etc. And he appears in those wonderful forms to assist Krishna in even being more attractive, to attract then the hearts of all living entities. And in that sense, Krishna is also a servant, because even though he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is trying to attract the living entities to him so as that they can be happy. So yeah, Balaram helps in that process by decorating Krishna's body to make it as attractive as possible. So that's Santaras. And then in Dasharas, everything Balaram does is in the mood of service. So that's just clear and definite. And in Sakyaras, he appears as Krishna's friend. So they play together, dance together, fight together, argue together, herd the cows together. And why? All in the mood of bringing pleasure to Krishna as Krishna's friend, service to Krishna. And then because Balaram is Krishna's older brother, he also has a Vatsalya Ras connection, because as the older brother, sometimes he kind of acts like a parent, you know. Oh, Krishna, it's late, time to go home. Oh, Krishna, it's late, it's time to get up, you know. And then, of course, when they go to the forest together and there's danger, then Balaram becomes very protective towards Krishna, again, kind of like a parent. So he has that Vatsalya. And then in Madhurya Ras, now Balaram can't take part in that directly. Can you imagine the older brother being there when Krishna's having his amorous pastimes with the gopis? So he can't be there. But what does he do? He expands himself as an Anga Manjari. So is the Radharani's sister. And that's interesting because, you know, because Radharani has so many secret rendezvous with Krishna, then she's a little afraid of Balaram because of that. And likewise, because Balaram knows the unique relationship that Radharani has with Krishna, he's also a little fearful of Radharani. But now here he is, because he wants to assist in all pastimes. He's appeared as an Anga Manjari, and now he's Radharani's sister, and they're engaging in all these arrangements so as that Radharani can have all these wonderful meetings, etc., with Krishna. So yeah, in that way, Balaram is engaged in all of the 5 primary rasas, and he's completely unique as far as that is concerned. Then in relation to creation, Krishna first expands as Balaram, and from Balaram comes Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Vasudeva, Aniruddha, and from that Chatuvyuha comes Lord Narayan, the Lord of Vaikuntha. And then from Lord Narayan comes the secondary expansion of Vasudeva, Aniruddha, Sankarshan, and Pradyumna. And then from that particular Sankarshan comes Adi Shankar, who's the original Lord Shiva. That helps us understand Vaishnavanam Yata Sambhu, because Shiva is a direct incarnation or expansion of the original spiritual master, Lord Balaram. And then when it's time for creation, Sankarshan then, that second Sankarshan expands himself as Karanadakshay Vishnu, Mahavishnu. Then he enters into each universe as Garbhadakshay Vishnu, and then enters into each living entity as Kshiradakshay Vishnu. So in that sense, Lord Balaram is the source of all incarnations. And he does this always in the mood of a servitor. And because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the mood of a servitor, he is the original, the Adi spiritual master. In Goloka Vrindavan, we also see Krishna always holding his flute and Balaram holding his plough. Most interesting. Why does Krishna carry his flute? To attract the hearts of all living beings. And why does Balaram carry his plough? What do we do with a plough? We prepare the field so as that they're more fertile, the field's more fertile, so the seeds can take hold and grow. So likewise, Balaram makes our hearts more fertile so that the seed of devotion can be planted and can grow and expand at Bhaktilata Bij, so that we can be attracted to the sweet sound of Krishna's flute. Now, we can't really talk about Lord Balaram without talking about Lord Nityananda. So when Lord Chaitanya appeared, Balaram appeared as Krishna's older brother, as the expansion of Balaram as Vishwarup. But because Balaram and Lord Nityananda is an expansion of Lord Balaram, he's also his older brother in that way too. And what was Lord Nityananda's constant meditation? Simply the service of Lord Chaitanya. There was no servant equal to Lord Nityananda. And the reason being, he'd understood the most intimate meditation of Lord Chaitanya to deliver the divine mercy of the holy name to anyone and everyone without discrimination. And that understanding only deepened after they met. That was in 1506, after arduous travel through dense forests in a trance-like state of devotion. Lord Nityananda eventually, from Vrindavan all the way to Nadia, he reached Nadia. And when the two lords finally met, finally saw each other for the first time, they were just overtaken by waves of ecstasy. Lord Nityananda was 32 and Lord Chaitanya was 20. And they then felt that their lives were perfect and complete. And embracing, they cried rivers of ecstasy. And Lord Nityananda, who's identical with Lord Balaram, the original guru, then soon after that meeting, Lord Chaitanya wanted to honor Lord Nityananda as the original guru by having a Vyasa Puja ceremony. But Lord Nityananda protested, and he was grabbing all the different items of worship and was worshipping Lord Chaitanya instead, saying, Nimai Panda is my Lord and Master, Nimai Panda is my Lord and Master. So in this way, there was this competition as to who would worship whom. Just incredible. And yeah, it's described that it's indescribable, that love. And then from that first meeting, until Lord Chaitanya left for Jagannath Puri, Lord Nityananda was always at his side. They were inseparable. And Vrindavan Das Thakur and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, they assert that Lord Nityananda holds the key to Lord Chaitanya's heart. So the teaching of the Chaitanya tradition is emphatic that anyone who thinks they can attain love of God without first attaining the mercy of Lord Nityananda and Lord Balaram is living in hallucination. So Lord Nityananda was preaching to the most fallen, sinful class, such as Jagai and Madai. They're described as the most two sinful creatures in the whole of creation, and even Yamaraj couldn't keep track of all the sins that they were engaged in. But Lord Nityananda saw it as an opportunity, and he was thinking, if I can make these two devotees, it will give great service to Lord Chaitanya, because if they take to the chanting of the holy name, the whole world will follow. So he approached them, and he was willing to be abused, blasphemed, physically assaulted, and of course, that's what happened. And even after being assaulted, drenched in blood, he couldn't think of anything else other than the service of Lord Chaitanya. And he said, my dear brothers, I don't mind if you hit me, try to kill me. My only concern is that I don't want you to suffer the consequence of all your sins. So please take to the name of Krishna. It is the only way. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam. Kalo nashteva nashteva gate anyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. So that's the example of Lord Nityananda. And it's also said that the best master is the best servant. Because a master never thinks himself master. He thinks himself a servant. Even Krishna thinks of himself as a servant. He's full and complete. But what's his enjoyment? His enjoyment is to have his devotees happy and enjoying. So in spiritual consciousness, everyone is a servant. No one is a master. And that essentially is Lord Balaram Tattva. So on this day of Lord Balaram's appearance, this really should be our meditation. And Srila Prabhupada tells us that Bala means spiritual strength and Ram means one who takes pleasure. So if we pray to Lord Balaram to give us the strength to overcome all the obstacles, all the impediments on the spiritual path, and to carry out our service to Guru and Krishna with great joy. Bhagavad Gita tells us, Susukam Kartamaviyam. And what gives Krishna the greatest enjoyment? To see his devotees enjoying. Just like if you love someone, you feel happiness if they're happy. Or if you have a child and the child is crying, it makes you sad, but if you see them laughing and dancing and happy, it makes you happy. So Krishna, his whole existence is dedicated to giving pleasure to his devotees. Just like the gopis, they said they were lusting for Krishna. They want to embrace him, enjoy him. But they didn't have a speck, a scintilla of personal motivation. They simply wanted to dance with Krishna for his enjoyment. They wanted to enjoy Krishna because the more that Krishna saw they were enjoying, the more it made him happy. So yeah, in the spiritual world, no one has any selfish intention. Everyone is existing for the pleasure of Krishna. Once, for instance, the cowherd boys, they went and made that request to Krishna and Balaram to go to the forest, because with Krishna and Balaram, they were protected. So they went to the Taliban forest, and Lord Balaram started shaking the tal tree, and he was so powerful, all the fruits in the trees were falling to the ground as he was shaking. Then all the cowherd boys were collecting the fruits and offering them to Krishna and Balaram, and then they were all eating together and having a wonderful, blissful spiritual time. But while they were enjoying, there was one personality, Dhenukasura, who wasn't enjoying. He was super angry. As we know, that's the nature of an asura. The more that they see the devotees happy, the more they want to destroy that and to exclusively enjoy the fruits for themselves. So Dhenukasura couldn't tolerate what he was seeing. He came charging and screaming at Lord Balaram, and he was really big, like a mountain. And with all his might, he was kicking Balaram in the chest. But Balaram just stood there calmly and tolerating it all. But he was thinking, what's this? This demon must be killed, because he's trying to enjoy separately from Krishna and terrorizing everybody in the process. Kind of sounds familiar. This is mine. I want to enjoy it. Yeah, so that's known as Dhenukasura consciousness. And if we're thinking like that, then we're no better than Dhenukasura. But Lord Balaram, who's represented by the spiritual master, comes to kill that demoniac quality. We just have to, in our heart, but we just have to allow the spiritual master to do that. It's the great boon of Lord Balaram. So, we really should contemplate and meditate on how to do this, how to allow the mercy of the spiritual master to enter our hearts, to destroy that demoniac mentality that exists there, by accepting his instructions, however medicinal they may be. Because like the spiritual master, like Lord Balaram, the spiritual master wants nothing for himself. And of course, Srila Prabhupada so amazingly demonstrated this by following the instructions of his Guru Maharaj. He gave every moment of his time, his entire life, just trying to help us become Krishna conscious. He dealt with so many difficulties, problems, health issues, problems in management, etc., but never gave up. At any time, he could have actually gone back to Vrindavan to live a peaceful life, but he didn't do that. Not least, I guess, because he was experiencing so much happiness, sacrificing everything for us. And more than anything else, we know that wins the heart of Krishna. So on Lord Balaram's appearance day, it's a most auspicious time to remember the mercy of our preeminent spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and to reciprocate with him by serving his mission with all of our hearts. Such an important thing, the sacrifice that Srila Prabhupada made, and for us to fully benefit from that sacrifice that he has made. The best way that we can fully benefit is by doing everything we can to continue with his mission, to enhance his mission, and to bring as many souls to his lotus feet, to Lord Nityananda's lotus feet, to Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet, to Lord Balaram's lotus feet, to Lord Krishna's lotus feet, as many souls as we can. There will be nothing more pleasing to Srila Prabhupada and to Lord Balaram on the glorious appearance day of the most wonderful, incredible incarnation that is Lord Sri Balaram. Balaram Jayanti ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.